Tuna and Waffles. This is happening. Oh, Campbell's. The Veteran Soup Company has produced many, many recipes over the years to give home cooks an idea of what to make for dinner and how to use more of their product so that you buy more. This may not be their most inspired. I was able to throw this together. The convenient thing and the whole point behind the recipe is I was able to throw this together with ingredients that I had in the pantry. That was the whole idea, making it easy for, busy, perhaps even harried homemakers to be able to throw together a hot, arguably nutritious meal out of stuff that they have around. Don't have to make a special trip to the market or anything. This is stuff that you can just have on their pantry shelf, ready to go whenever you want a hot meal. Yes, I'm trying to put off having to eat this. The kitchen is already filled with the smell of hot tuna. So it's already a little off-putting. I had some waffles around in the freezer. Didn't have to make that fresh. It's standard waffle recipe. My issue is, because they don't say anything about the waffles in this recipe. And as a result, my waffles have cinnamon and nutmeg and sugar. How is that going to play with the flavors of tuna, cream of mushroom soup, and black olives? No putting this off, I guess. God. I'm experiencing that salivation in anticipation of something bad. Like, ooh, I'm going to need to rinse this away right away. That's what my body is saying. Oh, I do have some olives in there. Yep, tuna and waffles. Let's do this. That is ungood. And honestly, it's the olives. The olives really take it in a different direction. Everything else, I won't say works together, but is innocuous enough. I mean, Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, condensed, it's a fairly neutral flavor. I mean, it's, there's creaminess, there's a little earthiness for the mushrooms, and there's salt. And it's, the saltiness, if they used any sort of broth in the making of the soup, it doesn't really stand out. So, which is why you can pair cream of mushroom soup with a lot of different things and use it as a sort of quasi gravy, in a way, on a lot of different dishes that they've come up with over the decades. That's why you see it everywhere in all these recipes. I need to wash this down. But the brininess and that slight oiliness of the olives really pulls it in a different direction. It actually clashes with the flavor. I was thinking that the cinnamon and nutmeg might actually might be the thing that clashes, but it really is the olives. The cinnamon and nutmeg is there, just really, really in the background. I mean, I didn't go too hard on it. Um, Waffles, after all, that they are kind of just a vector for butter and syrup. So that's really the main flavor that you get once you actually eat a waffle, typically. But I really thought those spices would actually interfere more than they do. Mm. Yeah. Without the olives, this would be a really sort of subdued flavor. It's definitely, I mean, it's something that you could eat for dinner. I mean, you can eat lots of things. You could eat it for dinner, but you wouldn't really enjoy it. It'd be pretty bland, and it still is. But the olives really do kind of pull it from just boring into bad. How do you redeem a recipe like this? Other than just simply make something else for dinner. I think the idea might be sound, but we need to tinker around with our expectations of um, what you can do with fish and what you can do with waffles. Let's play around a little bit.
We'll start with the basic aioli. I have some minced garlic here, sprinkling some kosher salt onto it, and then using the very edge of my blade, kind of making it into more of a paste, using that to crush it a little bit further. Adding that to some lemon juice, salt, and an egg yolk. Whisking that together until well combined. And then placing my mixing bowl, it occurred to me that I needed both hands, so placed it on a kitchen towel here to stabilize it while I continue whisking and slowly adding some nice neutral oil. And just drizzle that in, making sure that it fully incorporates before adding the next little drizzle until it reaches a texture like this. At which point I can check for seasoning. This was okay, and refrigerate. Now in another mixing bowl, I have a cup of all-purpose flour, cup of wheat bran. I like adding a little bit of fiber to this. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, paprika, to which I'm adding an egg, about 3/4 of a cup of milk, and 3/4 of a cup of water. And just whisking until well combined. I don't want to overbeat this too much, so pretty much I just whisk it until all the large lumps are out of it. And then I set it aside to sort of hydrate and rest for about 10 minutes. While that's resting, I'm going to empty a couple cans of tuna into a mixing bowl, along with one whole egg and a mixture here of some breadcrumbs, parsley, salt, garlic powder, paprika, and a little bit of Old Bay. And just mix that well until well combined. And I'll set that aside while I begin my waffles. I always spray down my waffle iron, because as non-stick as the waffle iron is supposed to be, it can always use a little help. And I'll use basically a couple ladlefuls full I believe this is actually a 4-ounce ladle, so this is 8 ounces of waffle batter for this particular waffle iron. Seems to work quite well. Spread it out evenly, close the top, and you know how to make a waffle. Now back to my tuna mixture while my waffle cooks. And in roughly somewhere between golf ball and racquetball size croquettes of tuna, I'm going to penne these. So roll in all-purpose flour, tap it a little bit to get off any excess, then into beaten egg, let any excess drip off, and then into breadcrumbs that I'm generously showing you here, and trying to kind of do the shake and bake action here. Didn't quite work, so had to actually still roll it around with my fingers. And repeat with the rest of the mixture. And I'm shallow frying these over medium-high heat. I think I'm going to end up putting 6 of these into the oil at a time, and that's going to cool the oil down quite a bit. So I have it over medium-high heat so that it will start to come back up to temperature fairly quickly. And I'm just going to leave these in and fry them on that medium-high heat for several minutes on a side. When the waffle is done, I always use a fork. I hate sticking my fingers into a waffle iron. Peel that waffle off and set it aside to cool for a little bit. Here are my croquettes again, and just kind of rolling them around in the oil to make sure that all sides get exposed to the heat and fry all the way through. And since I have this pan of oil, I took the leftover dredging flour and beaten egg, added a little bit of milk, mixed those together with some salt, and it made a basic batter, to which I threw in some of these chunks of cod that I happen to have in the freezer. And, I defrosted them, but you know what I mean. So, in addition to the tuna croquettes, we'll actually have some fried cod, because I felt like it, and it'll go really well with the garlic aioli that I made. And just fry those for several minutes on a side. In the meantime, I took the cooled waffle, cut it into strips. I'm going to throw this into my toaster oven for 5 minutes or so to kind of crisp them up, dry them out a little bit more. And here I'm finishing off frying the cod until they are golden brown and delicious on all sides. To plate, I've got a bowl of my aioli, a couple handfuls of my waffle fries, plus some of the tuna croquettes, like so, and some of the fried cod.
So how was that? Pretty darn good. As it turns out, a more savory waffle cut into strips and baked a second time makes a decent sort of fry. I mean, it's not fried, but you get what I mean. And then, fried fish. Nothing wrong with that. The croquettes turned out actually pretty good. The canned tuna does have a stronger fishiness to them than, like, say, the cod fillet did. So you definitely know that you're eating fish. But the flavor was actually quite good. I think it went a little heavy on the salt. But that's not really the fault of any sort of recipe. That's just me being kind of heavy-handed. So the idea itself worked out great. The aioli was a little heavy on the garlic. I actually served this for dinner, and Chris said that it was a bit much on the garlic, a bit much of a muchness. So that needs to be tinkered with a little bit. But the idea itself is sound. And it is way better than the original tuna with waffles recipe. Yeah. Uh, Still having bad memories about it. Anyway, what do you think? Um, would you try using waffles as sort of a fish and chips alternative? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any other ideas that you'd like to share, leave those in the comments as well. And as always, like, subscribe, all the internet things. And I'll see you next time here on Recipe Redemption. Thanks for watching.